So I got kind of a little special vignette for you guys to watch. I don't know, it's about 18 minutes, something like that. When I was doing the editing for the National Indoor RV 2024 VIP Motorhome Experience event, I had a segment when I was talking to the business development manager, Reuben Macias, from Lithionics Battery. If you'll remember, if you're a longtime viewer to the channel, I had a number of videos that I did about our Lithionics upgrade. And when I finally sat down with Reuben to talk to him, he was so interesting and we had such a great talk. I didn't want to bury it in the VIP video that I was doing, so I decided to chop it out and put it in a special edition for you guys. So let's get going. No further ado, and enjoy the talk that I had with Reuben. He was just excellent to talk to. Let's get going.
So Mark, be honest. Are you having a good time?
As he's walking with a chocolate chip cookie, humming a song to himself that's unnamed. Of course, I always have a good time, especially with Sue and especially with Miles.
Especially when he gets to talk RV and socialize. He's in heaven.
And I'm trying to maintain my slim figure. So the last half of my cookie, I just got rid.
All right, here's Mark talking to the Lithionics people. One thing about Mark, even after doing all his research, he is always asking questions to make sure he's got it right as he passes along information. So now he has the opportunity to actually one-on-one with these guys.
Okay, so this is nothing planned. In fact, the plan is that we have 15 minutes before lunch.
So it's going to be short.
And I want to look like I'm working, you know. But this is a golden opportunity to be able to talk to these guys at the National Indoor Music City VIP event, because the whole point of this event was that it was boutique, and you have the time to grab, you know, granted all the people in the RV world there, but when you finally got that settled down and you want to start thinking about the most expensive add-on or accessory or option that they have, you certainly want to talk to these guys.
Yeah.
And why don't you introduce yourself, what your capacity is there, Reuben?
Yeah, so I'm Reuben Macias. I work directly with the Lithionics Battery. I'm the business development manager for them. So I predominantly work remotely. I do travel to expos, I do factory visits. And then I do work with some end customers to help them plan out their systems, but predominantly I am out and about visiting customers travel.
Okay, so I never met Reuben before, but I honestly wouldn't forget that name because I love the sandwiches.
I'll bet you get that all the time, huh?
But
Reuben or Taco?
Yeah.
Either one.
Yeah. But so, how long have you been with the company?
About 5 years.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And so when folks are looking at that expensive upgrade, going from factory delivered AGM to the 2 stages of options you can get, where you get 640 or you can get the 960 version. What all is involved in that from your understanding?
Yeah, so from my understanding, it's pretty simple. So we have a combiner box, which you're aware of. So usually you're going to upgrade to a 3-port combiner box because you have 2 batteries and you're adding a third. Once you add a third, you're just going to plug that battery in. The BMS is going to update itself, and they made the brackets where it just fits. Yeah. So there really is no difficulty in putting the new module in there and connect it to the battery management system. And they do offer a 1-pager to show how to do it, I guess.
Okay, so what Reuben talked about actually is if I was choosing, for instance, maybe to add another battery to my system. But my question is, you guys obviously were involved in the design work that Newmar went through many years ago before the Lithionics premiered or debuted on the Newmar Motorhome line, that was probably what, 3 years ago?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So incrementally.
I'd say longer, actually.
Longer?
Yeah.
So they've offered it for that much longer?
Yeah. They had different modules. So they had a GT module, and then they went to a GTX module. So there's different models.
Yeah.
But the GT module you would know because that's a 600 amp hour. The GTX was a 630. Now it's a 640.
Okay.
But it's 5% smaller and 5% less weight. So that means it's 5% more dense. So it holds more energy. So they moved to a higher in series.
Can you remember back when, what was Newmar's directive to you guys? We want this style of battery system to be able to do what as compared to the battery system that normally comes with them? What directives were you guys given?
The leader, I couldn't remember. I wouldn't remember that many years ago. Give me too much credit. I'm in my 40s now.
Oh man, he's in his 40s.
Oh,
yeah. You're almost me.
You know, he's not joking.
Yeah.
The typical direction from the OEM market is what their customers are asking for. So they're either going to ask for longer. They're either going to want just longer runtime for their outlets and for anything that's plugged into the wall.
Yeah.
Then they're going to start asking for, well, no, I want my air conditioning to be run in Walmart, or I want it to be overnight air conditioning.
Yeah.
The question is you'll get some customers don't want to spend the money for the overnight air conditioning. Then you want customers that they do want to spend it. So how do you please both? How you please both is the modularity. How can you, like what Newmar did, is they're able to please both people, is they're able to please those that may not want the longer runtime, but then they give the option to have an easy modular upgrade.
Okay, you put that really well. I'm going to pretend like I coined it, and I'm going to start telling people that I came up with it. No, because when you talked about longer usability and with the plugs, meaning not changing the load profile of your motorhome, and what that means, it's a fancy term to say you're going to start busting into some heavy-duty wiring where you're going to transfer line 1 and line 2, maybe to be doing things that they weren't be able to do on batteries by hooking to this, and that was a major step that I was presented with from National Indoor. And I chose not to do it because we were just sick and tired of not having good runtime and low real-life usability of our plugs. We just wanted our plugs to be better, more usable. And quite honestly, I wanted to replace my battery setup one more time until we get our next rig.
We're getting we're one.
There's many parked out there.
Yeah, you just heard that for the first time.
The deposit was made.
Yeah.
So that's exactly. So anything that generates heat, right? So everybody wants to run, or wives want to run their hair dryers or irons or whatever,
come on.
Guys,
you got to turn the camera around to see.
No kidding.
And so that's predominantly it, right? Is being able to run your CPAP machines.
Yeah.
You don't want a limitation. You want to plug in and know you're not going to trip anything.
Yeah. We had gotten to the point where we thought it was normal because we had, let's face it, in the AGM world, there's good batteries, there's really bad, and then there's the best. And we had the best. Yeah. We had Lifeline. And we had literally 6 years on our Lifeline.
That's incredible. That's double usual.
Okay, that's incredible, and we thought they were pretty awesome. Yeah. Well, we were talking to some friends of ours that have lithium, a brand that will remain unnamed.
Sure.
Okay, and when I told them how we think our batteries are okay and how we're using them, he said, "Dude," he said, "your batteries are shot." And then I thought, okay, so I started paying more attention. And for me to be able to run my generator for a reasonable amount of time until quiet time comes, have our computers running, watching Netflix, maybe making some tea at night, and then keeping the residential refrigerator running and the CPAP. If I didn't start out with 75% of my batteries, I would wake up below 50. And it was such a short usability time I'm in this $700,000 motorhome. Yeah, granted ours is older,
Not cheaper
but like
when we bought it.
yeah, you know, it depends if you're driving a new one or a used one. But to us, it's a $700,000 unit, and to not be able to run my CPAP machine in my refrigerator, you know,
that's the difficulty.
Let's see, cold food or dying at night.
So what people don't really realize is AGM is like Grandpa's old flashlight. Grandpa's old flashlight will still produce light, but it's going to be dimmer and dimmer and dimmer. How does that affect all your consumables?
Yeah.
How does that affect your microwave, your induction stovetop, your anything that's plugged in? How it's going to affect it is you're going to lose life in those components because it's not feeding high voltage. Lithium is different. Lithium holds high voltage, and then when it's dead, it's dead. AGM goes like this, so it's not getting fed the volts that it needs to. So while AGM claims that it's deep cycle and bottom line is, yeah, it will last, but it's feeding lower voltage to your consumables, which is wear and tear. So while it lasts, it doesn't mean that it's doing a good job. AGM typically is really meant and designed to start a vehicle, and that's it. You use it for one time, and then it gets topped off the rest of the day. Now deep cycle goes, well, you can use 70% of it now. You can discharge it. It's still not clean. It's still not clean. So that's where you run into issues with AGM no matter what.
So Reuben and I, we're pretty classy guys here. So we're not going to talk about brands, but what I'm gonna ask is, for a lot of the brands that are out there right now that folks are thinking about, and they're finding them on eBay, they're finding them on Amazon. How much sleep at night do you lose, and how scary is it really when you're talking to, let's say, some of your dear friends, and the advent of people, everybody thinking that this is a DIY? I've always taken the attitude that it's a DIY. If you're a very handy guy, if you're an electrician, if you're an electrical engineer by trade, or if you just got the gift, that's not all of us, trust me.
So it's not rocket science. An electrical system is not rocket science. I mean, you got fuses, you got DC disconnects, and you got cables.
Equals IR.
So the install is not rocket science. The question then comes into play is, does the battery system, it's a smart battery, can we make it dumb? Can we make it dumb for the average user? And yes, we've been able to make it dumb for the average user. The issue then becomes is now the lithium segment is the wild west right now. You can literally make Mark's battery, label it like a glass, a bottle of wine, right? So it's really bad, but there is no high level testing done. So the people that lose sleep are the CEOs. The people that lose sleep have something to lose. If a coach goes up, their name's attached to that coach. If the coach goes up in a storage facility, their name is attached to that. So we have talked to CEOs that they lose sleep over. The CEOs lose sleep. The average end customer loses more sleep over how much it costs. How am I going to pay for this? How am I going to, validate this? How am I going to sell this to my wife, right? Or sell it to my dogs? So that's where they lose sleep. So unfortunately, it has become a money savings thing where Lithionics, we don't care. We're probably 4 times the amount of an average lithium battery, but we don't blink an eye because the engineering behind it costs, our development costs. So yes, many people will lose sleep over the worry of a lithium, worry of a fire. But with ours, you have so many different redundancy protections on it, including the case itself, that it's safe enough to sleep on.
I think what you touched on is if you have a battery company, you can do it backwards or you can do it frontwards. And you guys did it correctly, where you at first weren't making batteries for necessarily RVs and for the public in general. You were operating at a much higher altitude. You were working with government projects in places like Disneyland and things that had to be ultra safe, ultra reliable, all of the ultra adjectives to make this thing work for them. And then as you had the breathing room and you had that all dialed in now, and you go, you know what, we have the extra capability. Is there a market out there that has the customer base that would be willing to pay for this extra value? And that was the luxury motorhome market.
It had to be that way because we were so advanced in the market. We had to wait for the charge sources to catch up.
Okay.
So we had to wait for safe shore power charging, safe alternator charging, safe solar charging.
Yeah.
All those have to have firmware to be able to manage to charge a lithium battery. So we had to wait on the rest of the market to catch up to us.
Okay, so if you had to wait though, and I have Victron, and you know some of the stuff is Xantrex, why did you guys have to invent something? There's something still lacking, right?
Well, here's the thing: is we gotta take name brands. There's only a few name brands, 2 to be almost exact, that do 48-volt inverters.
Oh, okay.
So
is that what that is?
That's a 48-volt inverter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's our new Ion 3K.
Okay.
And the reason why we designed that is because when you look at some of the 48-volt inverters require 3, 4, 5 external components. This requires 0. It's CAN controlled. You ride 2 wires to it, and you just integrate into the whole system. So we wanted to get an inverter, one, to control how it's charging. We always want to be the control device. And then 2, we want to roll out all those components. Like 48 volts is the leading is everybody's moving to it because of the inverting possibilities. But that right there is basically saying, you know what, we're going to control this too. We're gonna make sure it's a simpler install.
If you were a betting man, when do you think the advent of 48 volts is going to start showing up on some of these big coaches? Are we a year or 2 away, or are we 5 years away?
We're now. We have, and I'm sure my team will correct me, we are over 50% B-class market is 48 volts.
Oh my God.
This Class A, every coach that has our system out there is 48 volts. Almost every coach, including yourself, is 48 volts. The reason why is because you need at least 10,000 watts of inverting to run all 3 ACs, all your outlets, and our BMS can do 20 kilowatts of inverting. So we are there now, and we designed the BSG alternator, which is a 48 volt alternator.
Yeah.
We're there.
Okay, I think I misunderstood this. So are you saying that if I went out right now, 2025, and I looked at either the Xantrex Lithionics setup out in some of the Newmar products, or the Victron one, I thought those were 12 volt batteries.
Newmar Mountain Aire is a 12 volt battery.
Okay, so, Newmar Mountain Aire and Dutch Star 12 volt.
I know the King Aire is a 12 volt system.
Okay, and that's the very long. And there's 2 of those? Or
there's one of them. Last time I went out there, it was one battery, 1,260 amp hours, 300-pound battery. Yeah,
that's a man's battery.
you need an engine hoist to get that thing in, and it has engine hoist mounting. And the only reason why is because it's just you always have a 12 volt. That is the chassis voltage.
Right.
It's easier for your inverter charger to find a reliable 12 volt. You have 12 volt air conditioners. Yeah.
So the whole architecture of the RV at some point has to all collectively decide, hey guys, this 48 volt thing, we're making it work, and it'll just be that fast.
And it's that simple. There's really one extra component you put in there to go from 48 to 12 for your 12 volt loads. So it's very simple. It's just knowledge. You got to pass knowledge. Yeah.
All right. Well, I could talk all day to this guy, but I'm sure our audience wouldn't listen to it. Hey, I want to thank you for sitting down.
Hey.
We ambushed this guy, and he did really good.
He knows his
But
stuff.
you know what? He should do good. Look how cool his hair is compared to mine. Come on, you know.
I went up a little high on this side.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna hit lunch. You're just stuck with donuts and
bagels.
And bagels.
We're gonna swap lanyards. All right.
All right, guys.
All right. Thanks a lot.